Previously, our protagonist was reborn in another world as Pastry, son of a low-ranking noble named Casserole. He got a cheat skill to copy anything with his powers. But his village was under threat of being raided by bandits who were set loose by the county of Reedes. So Casserole prepared everything to fight against those bandits and gathered peoples from other two villages. So Casserole then acted as a decoy to lure out the bandits and their leader. Their plan becomes a success when Pastry copied an injury from another man to the bandits' leader to knock him out, so the bandits' leader was captured and the village was saved. So, as the story continues, at dawn, Agnes and Josephine received word that they had defeated the bandits, but she became concerned after hearing that Pastry was injured. But the man assured them that Pastry was still fine, and Casserole was locking up those bandits in a barn. Casserole then hands down a reward to the person with the greatest effort. And Mark and Lumi were on the list as well. They received a bag of barley and a sword, so Lumi then takes them to her home and her grandpa was relieved that Lumi was alright. Then the other villagers came in to celebrate this victory, and now that everything is settled down, Pastry goes into his fantasy world where he was making an apple pie. And his creepiness creeped out Mark and Lumi, so they bailed out. Then Mark got an idea to check out the bandits because they are the future retainers of the village. Lumi agreed with him. But the guard sent them away, but Mark wanted to check out on those bandits, so he distracted the guard. Then as they entered, the bandits' commander saw the blade on Mark's waist. So he sweet talks him into drawing his sword, promising to teach him magic. Mark wanted to be like Pastry, so he did as that bandit said, and didn't listen to Lumi's warning. Then that leader had loosened his ropes and got the blade from Mark. He attacked Lumi and injured her fatally. And this news reached the villagers. Hearing this, Pastry was on his way, but the bandit leader took Mark as a hostage to run away, and their Pastry arrived at Luma's side. But he leaves Lumi under care of the villagers and left alone to pursue that bandit leader. Pastry plans of using his copy magic with which he could copy back any injury to that bandit. And the news of Pastry leaving alone gets to Casserole, so he was about to leave himself, but Faye stopped him saying the town needed him, and asked to let him go after Pastry. Casserole agreed. But on the other side, Pastry had caught on with the bandits' leader to save Mark, so Pastry tried to take offensive, but his sword got broken and the anime gives you a hanging moment. Then Faye was following Pastry and saw his broken sword, so he returned with guilt that he lost Pastry, but Pastry was at home in her mother's lap. Pastry just returned before him and Agnes refused to let him go and fell asleep just like that. Faye couldn't understand the situation, so Pastry explained that, when he was about to die, he copied Casserole's teleport magic to save his neck. Pastry had a rarest skill, so Casserole forbids him from ever showing his magic to anyone. Because he doesn't want Pastry to become a weapon for others to use. Then, Mark was still sulking because of his stupidity. Lumi was near death, so Pastry forced him to visit Lumi with him. But she was in her usual high spirit and didn't mind what had happened in the past. Their Pastry leaves them alone and gets to kitchen and makes apple while Mark apologized to Lumi. Then their Pastry gets in with his pie that impressed both of his friends, but then Lumi's dad comes with a death aura. Mark got scared, but Galcage was just joking around. After that, the villagers got back to their normal life, but the real problem came up when the village ran out of money, and the leader bandit had also fled. So they couldn't even get the bounty on his head. Pastry then tells Casserole to ask for money from his parents or parents-in-law. But Casserole tells him that Agnes and he married against their parents' wishes, so they can't rely on them, because they both followed their hearts. Well, after that, Pastry was then hanging out with his friends to discuss their money problem, but their Lumi gave an idea to sell out that apple pie he makes. Hearing this, Pastry loved that idea. But getting a stable supply of item might prove difficult for that, but Lumi thought Pastry's magic could help them earn a hefty amount of money, so she told Pastry to demonstrate that copy magic. So Pastry told them to draw anything, and Mark drew an unrecognizable dragon, but Lumi had made a nice drawing of apple and pie, and then Pastry used his magic and copied the drawing onto their hand. Which looks like a tattoo but is still temporary and will come off in 3 days, but drawing on a tree or stone will be permanent, however. Their Lumi gave a big idea to draw someone with this power, and Pastry got a new bombing idea, so he runs away and got to his mom and dad with this idea. He brought up his sister arranged marriage that Casserole was trying to set up, and the most efficient way to introduce Josephine to other nobles would be to travel to some place and attend a ball. So instead of explaining, Pastry drew a drawing of his mother in that wood to let them know. This could help everyone introduce their child to anyone without traveling or attending the ball. And this could be useful for other people who looking for arranged marriages as well, and Pastry could charge a nice sum of money for this. But Fei was worried that Pastry's power would be exposed. But Pastry tells him that it would actually help him cover his power because anyone will think that his magic is to make a portrait of someone. Then after some time Pastry and Casserole gets to Count Reedes to have a talk about their subduing the bandits problem that Casserole and his village dealt themselves. But Reedes knew Casserole is here for compensation, so she changed the subject and started praising Casserole for maintaining his land rather well. But Casserole tells her that all of that credit goes to Pastry for helping him in managing the farms, but Pastry puts aside all the sweet talk and gets to the point of bandits. So Countess tried to appear innocent in front of them, but Casserole showed them the blade he got from a bandit with the Reedes family crest, and her ignorance got busted red-handedly. Reedes got pale seeing that, and Pastry tells her the damage their village had to suffer because she failed to eradicate those bandits, but Pastry doesn't want to have any sort of odds with her. He just need compensation for the damages, so Reedes offered 100 gold coins, but Pastry wasn't satisfied, so she offered 130, but it still wasn't enough, so Reedes gave up 150, so Pastry agrees. Reedes realized that she judged Pastry in a wrong way and got impressed by his matureness, but before leaving she asked about his dissatisfaction with the tea that was served. So Pastry advised them to make their tea a little sweeter with some other things and gets excited, so Casserole stops him before he starts bickering about sweets. So for the parting gift Pastry made her drawing in a cloth to gift her and to advertise his power, and this time Reedes was truly impressed. But with that episode 3 and 4 comes to an end, but please tell me in the comments section if you want to watch more of this anime. And also please tell me which type of anime you would like to watch and I'll make sure to bring that type of anime to my channel.